Jascha Horenstein was born in Kiev 72 years ago and emigrated from Russia to Vienna with his family when he was just 6 years old. He was trained in Vienna, where he studied Indian philosophy at the university and violin with Adolf Busch. He took composition with Franz Schreker, whom he followed to Berlin. After the First World War, Horenstein decided to become a conductor, and the main influence on his career was Furtwangler. He considers that attending Furtwangler's rehearsals was his most worthwhile conducting class. During the 20s, he became something of a Furtwangler protégé, and it was on Furtwangler's recommendation that he was appointed to his first major post as Kapellmeister at Dusseldorf. The Hitler era interrupted his career, and he first went to live and work in Paris. Then, during the war, he went on to America. Since then, Horenstein has led an international career, conducting in all the world's major musical centres, but hasn't held a regular post. He's become very much associated, rather against his will, with Bruckner and Mahler. So I asked him first if he had any connection with Mahler in his early years at Vienna.
My family came to Vienna 6 months after Gustav Mahler died. And I must admit that at this time, the name was not familiar to me. At this time, in 1911, 1912, I was 13 years old. I never heard the name before. At this time in 1912, for the first time that Vienna did something like a music festival.
Yes.
And, you know, the quantity of concerts at this time was by far smaller than anything now in any other place, not only Vienna, but any provincial city. So this festival consisted only of 3 extraordinary concerts.
They took place at the same time, these 3 concerts?
Yes.
So that formed the festival?
Yes, this formed the festival in May 1912. I remember it very well because it was the very first time that I could hear Arthur Nikisch conducting, which impressed me enormously, probably influenced me to become a conductor. Anyway, I wanted to say that in those 3 concerts, there was a world premiere of Mahler's 9th Symphony, the world premiere, conducted by Bruno Walter. That's a work that Mahler never heard. And my pocket money did not last for 3 concerts. That's not enough. So I had to choose. So I decided to take those 2 concerts, one conducted by Nikisch and one conducted by Weingartner, consisting of Beethoven's 1st and 9th symphonies. I missed the world premiere of Mahler's 9th symphony.
Do you regret now that you didn't...
Now I regret it because the 9th Mahler became part of my, how should I say, don't want to say it became a war horse, one of my war horses. But many people are associating the symphony with my name, and I'm doing it very often and adore this piece of music. So it would have been something to cherish, to have been present at the first performance.
Vienna was the centre of the new music that was being developed just before the First World War. Although Horenstein never actually studied with Schoenberg himself, he was very friendly with Hans Eisler and several other of Schoenberg's pupils.
I knew from them that Schoenberg was very dictatorial, and when I asked once one of them what they study with Schoenberg, he said, with Schoenberg you study everything, beginning from how to lit a cigarette. This was Hans Eisler, he said to me. You know, with Schoenberg, du lernst alles, beginning, wie man eine Zigarette anzündet. I did not like it. I didn't feel that I would like to be dominated to such an extent. Therefore, I never was a formally pupil of Schoenberg. I admired him very much, and when there were some public lectures of his, I always attended them. And then when he formed this society for performances of modern music, a private society, concerts which could be attended only by members, I still remember whenever I came, the ushers on the doors to control the membership tickets, no, the membership cards. The membership card, yeah. It was Webern and Berg were the ushers who controlled the cards.
And you knew Berg very well.
Very well.
Yeah.
With Berg, I developed a really personal friendship. We exchanged many letters. He came to my performances when I did Wozzeck in Dusseldorf. He was 2 weeks with me. He attended all the rehearsals, attended the premiere. He was with his wife, with Helene Berg. With Webern, my relationship was very superficial. We were once in a train together from Vienna to Dusseldorf to a music festival. This was the only time where we really had hours, a few hours of conversations on.
How did you find him?
I found him very tense, enormously tense, and very inhibited and frustrated. And by virtue of this frustration, what Adler calls the overcompensation, rather arrogant to a very high degree. I admired him because of his isolation as a musician. You know that most of the scores of Webern in my library are scores which I bought from him personally, because there was no publishing house which printed his music. It was he himself who, and on the scores you could read, printed im Selbstverlag des Komponisten.
It's extraordinary.
Yes.
And what do you think of his music?
It is very difficult to have a definite. It is historically extraordinary that in 1907 or 1908 or 10 he wrote this aphoristic music, confining himself to a few bars and saying more than other composers in volumes. It's a very extraordinary personality. Whether he will always remain an outsider or whether his influence would be once felt strongly in a new generation of composers, only time will tell. The composers of today, influenced by Webern, are more or less only eclectics. And it is no difference if somebody wrote eclectic music in the post-Wagnerian period or it is post-Weberian, if it is not original.
No, that's true, but he
Yes.
he is still very much a father figure for younger composers today.
Yes, today. We don't, maybe today already a little bit less than 10 or 15 years ago.
Yes, that's, yeah.
It will be hard for you to believe that all of them, including Schoenberg, were extremely provincial.
In what sense?
Provincial, they really thought that Vienna and the surroundings of Vienna is just the only place in the world where music is produced, where music is performed.
The Viennese still think that, though.
Yes, but I want to say one exception. Alban Berg was not a provincial. He was very different. He was very different from Schoenberg. This was the only man who was more, what you could say to a certain degree, an homme du monde. He was more the man of the world. So he did not travel very much at this time. He knew something about the French school. He had an admiration for Debussy, for Ravel. He knew, I know, he talked once with me, because he was very impressed by Delius. We talked
That's very interesting.
about the mass of Messe des Lebens, mass of life,
mass of life.
Mass of Life by Delius.
Yeah.
He was very much impressed by it. He was very much impressed by the thinking of Scriabin.